All right, so we are in WkE ZmA, July 2026, and the theme of the week is yield. Next week we're going to do engage. So for yield, the idea is to let go of things which are no longer serving us. And that can include, especially in terms of a physical practice, tension in our body that we're holding on due to either postural habits or just extra effort, which I know seems really counterintuitive based on sort of our Western culture especially, right? So Western culture really emphasizes the meritocracy, which would mean that you're always taught that the harder you work, the more benefit you're going to have, and sort of by implication there's this idea that the harder you work, the more worthy you are, right? So that's a very Western, dare I say, capitalist way of thinking. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong, but there are downsides to it, right? Like that we in the West tend to work too hard, too much. We've all been trained to overwork in order to get by, especially those of us who live in the Bay Area. It's really hard to get by here. I'm very privileged to have my job and get to do something I love to get by with, and many other things about me that are privileged. And I'm grateful for that. But just to take a moment to acknowledge that it's not like that for everybody. And that when we all work really hard, which of course we all are in a position that we pretty much need to do most of the time, we end up with burnout, or physically speaking, you can also be burnt out. You also get minor injuries from overworking, right? So that's part of why people suggest that you should always have a day of rest each week. I mean, day of rest is a pretty old rule, right? There's a reason for it, because your body needs time for recovery, and recovery is just as important as working hard. So when we're talking about the yogic movement principles, many of the other things we've been doing have been about raising your effort level or raising your engagement, right? So breathe is a bit of both, right? It relaxes us, it gets our bodies moving more, or slows down our anxiety, and if we're overexcited in our heart and lungs, it calms that down. Engage is what we're doing next week, and that's going to put sort of everything together. S, support, which we did a couple weeks ago, is about pushing into the ground. So feeling grounded, feeling the ground underneath us, and maintaining that connection to the earth. C, centering, that's where we are engaging our muscles. So abs pulling in, tailbone underneath, shoulders back, to keep our balance and to keep ourselves from like falling away from ourselves or being too floppy. Radiate, of course, is the opposite, where we're reaching as far as we can all the time in all the different directions. So we're really engaging everything. And alignment, we're always going to do, because that's what protects our joints, even when we're doing crazy stretches. And then yield is how we balance those things. So we had talked earlier about how the opposite of radiate can be to center, right? So even as I'm reaching, I'm also engaging my muscles to keep my structure and alignment intact. And also the opposite of radiate can be to support, where you're pushing up and down at the same time. Another yin-yang action here is that yield can be the opposite of all that, like effortfulness. So as much as we're pushing into the floor and reaching out into the air, now we're going to see what parts of our body we don't have to activate, right? A really obvious example for most of us is our trapezius muscles, right? Trapezius are a big sort of triangular muscle here, but most of us are always tight here because most of us slouch forward. So the top of your trapezius right here in particular tends to knot up because it's holding the weight of your arm, rather than that shoulder girdle being on top of the rib cage. Do you hear how I'm going over all the hot tips that might be in your final at the same time here? So bear with me, good job. When we're talking about yield in the practice today, I'm going to invite you to yield, and that means I want you to think about taking a breath in. Sometimes that helps to like imagine or visualize the breath, which of course just goes into your lungs, but going to that spot that you're concentrating on, and then exhaling and seeing if you can release that place in your body, right? Sometimes we're really tight in our back because we're leaning forward all the time. Like, what if we can just like maybe stretch it out and then come back and see if we can keep something soft, yeah? In a stretch, a lot of the times we'll be like reaching to go in the stretch, and then I'll invite you to yield with a breath, and we'll see what we can let go and just fall into gravity. Yeah, I think that's a great place to start. Letting ourselves have permission to let go, permission to not work at maximum all the time. Obviously, we are going to be moving our bodies today, but we're also going to be thinking about it as a recovery approach. I'm going to move you through sun salutation variation first, just so that everybody's bodies are nice and warm, but then we're going to spend most of our time doing a more lunar practice, right? Instead of a sun salutation, which gets you all amped up, we're going to stay down on the floor, and we may also flip our breathing. So throughout the semester, we've been doing energy bringing breathing, which is like I breathe in when I come up, then I exhale into the stretch, right? So if you're doing a lunar practice, for example, if you're doing some yoga because you're tight but you want to go to bed afterwards, it can help to calm your body down by flipping the order of the breath. So instead I would go yeah. So I will try to guide you through that because it might at this point feel a little counterintuitive to switch the order of the breath. And it's okay if you don't get it right, but those will be our new things for this week. All right. Music. Starting with a very conscious breath today. In through the nose and out through the mouth. 3 times, not worrying about anything else. And this time we're going to lift up our arms. And before you put your arms down, let's exhale. Flip it. Inhaling down. Exhaling up. Go ahead and bring your arms to namaste, and I'm going to send our feet out and wiggle my toes because I'm having such foot cramps. Please ignore my funny feet positions. Big breath in. I'm going to bend my legs. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale up. Exhale, bring those hands behind you and bring the feet in and gently pressing the hips up. Exhale down. All right, we're gonna bring our energy up for this first part of class so we can have a good deep stretch in the hamstrings later. Go ahead and stay. Taking your head back to the back of the room. Supporting through the hands and the feet. Feeling the glutes and the back of the legs activate. Embracing the floor with your hands. Settle down those hips. Baddha Konasana. Reaching out on the diagonal. Shoulders down, hands down to your ankles. We're going to dive our head down. And now I'm not going to smash my torso down, but I am going to lift my belly button back. Curving, drawing in the pelvis. So if you've done Pilates, you're doing a Pilates scoop. If you're doing dance, you're lifting up your torso. I'm making a little bit more side too. Curve, 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 curve. Good, reach it up. Going all the way down. Stretch out like you just woke up. Bend your knees, rise. Rise, inhale. Hands back, feet in close, press it up, and Siri, play. And rest forward.
Okay, here's a station just for you.
Oh no. Go ahead and rest in your forward fold. I mean, that is a good guess, but I'm not exactly sure why I'm having these troubles. All right, my forward folders, we're going to take our hands behind the knees and just roll back. Yeah, so the idea is if I've got my core engaged, pull that belly back for that rounded spine, then we should, excuse my mic pack, be able to roll up behind the heart. If you reach your head past your toes, you might find your way to your feet. And then walk that forward fold. Nice bent legs here. Remember, we're not trying to push everything to its maximum. We're just exploring. And we're going to drop those knees down. Yeah. Toes forward. And flip off the fingers. So I have big, wide, I'm 10 years old hands. And then I'm going to make judgy flamingos. Yeah, so warming up the hands. Roll it up. Take your hands down to your sacrum, which is that triangle of bone. Feel it pointed back. That means your booty's sticking out. Feel it pointing to the center of the earth. Bend your knees and tuck it underneath. Lean your hips back into a hinge. Just press. Opening up the front of the hips. And bring it up. And exhale, forward fold. Up to your halfway. Nice long flat back. Lifting in through the core, shoulders back so we're centered through the core and the shoulder blades. And we're gonna settle down both hands and hop it back to your plank and lower down. Go ahead and inhale up. And take it back to your child's pose. And then I want you to make some muffins. Make some muffins on the floor. Good, good, good. And press back into your downward dog with bent knees, please. So that you can really bring your head and arms down below those shoulders. And then roll those shoulders 3 times for me. Feeling your shoulders blades sliding towards your hips, walking those legs. Big breath in. Exhale, elbows bend towards the earth, knees bend. When you're out of air, you're gonna hop forward. Bring it halfway up. Exhale down. Bring it on up. All right, so that sun salutation is often called C. It's the one with the legs staying together. We're gonna do a few of them. Tailbone vertical or tucked under here as you arch. Good. Feel that long flat back, shoulder blades together. Hands down to the floor, up to flat back. Exhale, hands to the floor, elbows in, and hop it back. Knees down on the floor. And we're going to lower down. Good, good, good. Nice chaturanga. Up to your cobra. Exhale down. So that was also a chaturanga vinyasa, but this time we did it with the legs bent. So a modified chaturanga vinyasa. Coming to your downward dog. Armpits open. Shoulders rolling down the back. Let the weight fall backwards towards your heels. Try to let go of any tension you can. One more big breath in. We're going to lift our bodies up and then heels up. And then I'm going to press back, bend my heels, bend my knees. Then I'm going to slide forward into a plank and come back. Here we go. Let's go. Be feisty. Forward and back and forward and back and forward and back and forward and back and hop it front. Bring it on up. Inhaling up. Take your hands to Namaste in the mountain pose. Close your eyes, feel your heartbeat in your thumbs as they rest against your heart in mountain pose. Mountain pose is simply standing with your legs together. The hands can be here in Namaste or down by your sides and open. Go ahead and tuck your face to your chest and roll all the way down to your forward fold. Good. Inhale, flat back. Exhale down. This time, left leg's going to step back. High lunge. Press on up. Remember, this is high lunge because both of my knees are pointing forward. Go ahead and come down, hands on the floor, and change that back leg by turning it out 45 degrees and putting the back heel down to the ground. Re-square the hips to the front for warrior one. Hips are front, but back leg is turned out 45 degrees for warrior one. front leg. Knee is still trying to be right over its own ankle, or maybe the arch. Change that leg back. We're gonna step back into plank or modified plank, your choice. Whether your knees are down or up, the chaturanga vinyasa goes. Plank or modified plank. Elbows touch the side of the body. Then we go to the floor. Inhale up through your cobra or an upward facing dog. And back down to the floor is chaturanga vinyasa. Come to your downward dog and rest. Right foot's gonna come up. I'm sorry, left leg is up. Right foot is down. I'd like you to straighten that leg as much as you can today. That might mean it stays pretty low, that's fine. And I just want you to play with the hips. So right now I'm closing my hip into the other, and I have a really big stretch on the outside of this standing hip when I do that. And then I'm gonna bring them square, and then I'm gonna bring it open, one hip on top of the other. And square, and close. And I noticed in some of the writing about half moon pose, there was some unclearness about half moon pose and the position of the hips. So when we're doing half moon pose, the hip is above its friend. Go ahead and tuck through to high lunge. We're gonna press up. High lunge, hips are square. We're trying to get that vertical. For me, you can bend this back knee and work on vertical hips, which I think are more important to get the pelvis right than to straighten that back leg. I would do this part first because it's more challenging. And then you can work on the flexibility of straightening the back leg. Okay, we're just gonna bring our arms up here and see what we can let go of. I'm gonna think about relaxing my chest, yielding the chest. I still have to think about centering my thighs in order to keep my hips to the front. And I'm gonna slowly reach my body, my nice flat back forward. Supporting through both legs. And hands down. Press my hips over the front foot to step together. Halfway up. Exhale down. Roll and stack her up. Back to mountain pose. Drawing from the very base of my spine up without engaging the shoulders as I arch to the back. And up. And softly down. Long, long body radiating from skull through tailbone. And down to the floor. Right leg's gonna step back. Opening up that lunge. I'm gonna take my right leg and come into warrior one with that back leg. When I turn this thigh out, I have to remember to re-square my hip and rise on up. Soften my shoulders here. See if I can really feel this thigh opening. Here we go down to chaturanga vinyasa. Go ahead and step back to your plank or modified plank. Elbows bend to the back of the room as you lower, right by the chest. Down to the floor. Downward dog. Relax into it. If you feel like your upper body is doing so much work to hold you here, I invite you to please bend your knees, let your weight go back. I'm going to bring my feet together and then lift up the right leg. Open the hips. So my right hip is above my left hip. And close the hips to parallel. And then drop the right hip into the left thigh. And this should be a big stretch on your outside of your left hip. And square and open. And square. And drop it in. See if you can really relax that standing leg hip. Whew, big stretch. And square. Lift it up. Let your neck come through, your head come through, and your shoulders stay back. Relax the chest, relax the shoulders, square the hips. Sink down, yield to gravity. Step together. Inhale up. Exhale down and roll it up. I noticed, my friends, there has been a great big proliferation of yoga for kids on the internet, especially even since last summer. It was there before, but now there's just a lot more content, and it's changing what comes up when you're searching for the titles of yoga poses. So if you're teaching, for example, let's all do it together. If you're teaching the tree, which can have hands here in namaste or above the head or up here like tree branches. The knee that is lifted is going to be pointed out to the side. The hips are trying to be square with the torso. And remember, we never press sideways on a knee. Never press sideways on a knee. So if you want to move yourself up to a bust up above the knee, it's a big jump because you don't want to rest on the knee on the way there. Also, fun fact, if I've said something 3 times in a row, you can bet it's on that final. So if you hear me repeating myself, now you know it's a clue. All right. So when you look up the tree pose in yoga, it's usually the same, and the kids yoga always calls it the tree too. I don't know why. This doesn't look like a tree to me, but hey, I guess it does kind of look like some of the weird redwoods around here. Okay, so let's do the other side. But I did notice that there were some names in your workout documentation that were not the same traditional names or even the names that I've used. So for the most part on your final, it's going to be whatever names I'm using in class, which are generally from the yoga tradition as is taught by Yoga Alliance, which is mostly the same names, English translations, appropriation caveat there, that are standard for most yoga classes and vinyasa classes. But there were a couple differences that I noticed in last week, so I'm going to cover those now. One is, let's go to bus stop A, grab underneath your thigh, B, back here. Nobody's ready for C, D, or E right now. If I were to just grab one leg and send it out to the side, the full expression of the pose that you might see in a picture more often is grabbing the toe. I'm not ready for that yet though. Yeah. This is usually called spider, but I saw some other names for it. But I call it the spider. Let's try the other side. Bus stop A, working on the balance. If you looked at this from the outside, you'll see that my leg, the heel is slid forward, swoop, and it's slightly in front of my body, and that helps me balance. Doo-doo. Spider. Go ahead and step down. Next up is what I call the star. I saw some people putting this as the star as a yoga pose. Never heard of that before. But then it was on the yoga pose list on the internet. So what I call the star is when we reach our 5 limbs and balance on one leg with the spine tipped over. And again, I'm going to do the other side from the side because it looks flat on a video, but it's really quite not flat. I'm using a lot of abdominal engagement. I'm putting all my limbs a little bit in front of me. So I put my foot kind of like up here by toes. My arms are definitely just in front of my chest. And my core is engaged because if I go back here, it's really hard to engage the core. Eventually you get flat, but it's better to start forward and then radiate out to tip. And then once I'm here, I'm like, am I squeezing my shoulders too tight? Are my hands clenching? Am I breathing? Where can I find some softness in the midst of all this effort? And come on out. And then we're gonna go to the floor. Hooray, to the floor. All right, just checking in on our chat there. We're gonna start here, holding our ankles in Baddha Konasana or bound angle pose, and just rocking Baddha Konasana to the side. And then we're gonna grab either an ankle, a heel, or 2 fingers around the big toe here. And I'm just gonna gently press forward and then bring that knee outside of my torso here. And actually, I think I'm gonna grab the inside of my foot today because I wanna give myself a resistance here. So I'm gonna push in, active effort, and pull back, pulling my shoulder down the back, engaging that arm. Push and pull. Push and pull. See if I can sit up tall here. If you notice that the easy pose, which is when we're just sitting with our legs crossed in the beginning of class, is easier on a brick, you could do these on a brick as well, or a yoga pillow, meditation pillow. I'm gonna go ahead and press and back. I see some chats there. If there is a technical issue, if a bunch of you can't hear me or something like that, please send multiple chats so I know over there. Can't quite read the font. Okay. And then we're going to place our feet down. And this one should just feel delicious. We're just going to do windshield wiper legs. And we'll come back to this a few times today, because what we want today are very soft hips. And if you'd like to make this a little more intense, we can spread the legs to 90-90. Yeah, and rock back and forth. Oh, something is happening. Oh, y'all, I didn't ask for your mid-check-in yet, but okay, go ahead. Here, I thought we had a technical issue. Go ahead and rock those hips 90-90 and do your mid-check-in. Yeah. Really open thighs. Good, good. We're going to do head to knee pose next. So we'll go ahead and send your right leg out. And I'm going to square my hips to that right leg. So I'm facing the diagonal here right now, but you would be along your mat. And I'm gonna lift up my body nice and tall and bend this knee as I get into the stretch. I'm gonna exhale forward. Take a big breath in while I'm down here. Exhale a little deeper. Big breath in. Reach the spine and exhale all the way down. big deep breaths here and notice where might you be holding unnecessary tension. So here I am in this stretch. I notice I'm holding my head up so that I can talk to you. So I could maybe relax my head, neck, and shoulders, but it's not the most important thing for the hamstring to get stretched here. What I really want for the hamstring to get stretched here is to get my pelvis to fall forward. So if you're not feeling your hamstring stretch yet, rather than walking that knee out, try and walk your belly button further towards your knee along the spine or along the thigh. And then if you're thinking about yielding and relaxing into it after that, then you can relax the head, neck, and shoulders. We want to feel the thigh stretch first because the head, neck, and shoulders relax is really just about not working so hard. So it's a layer that we put on top of once we've already gotten into the stretch here. Maybe you're just here, reaching to your calf. That's great. Yeah. Your knee can be quite bent while you're stretching this hamstring down here. As you proceed in your flexibility, you're going to reach further and further down towards the foot, and you can use your peace sign fingers, slip them in between your big toe and other toe, and grab that toe and leverage your big toe back towards your head, and then radiate the toe towards the foot. Lovely. All right, let's gently walk that up. We're going to take this knee that's bent and lift it up so that both knees are pointing straight up. I'm going to then lift my lower back up to vertical. And if you can't get your lower back to vertical, then scoot your foot out so that you can get that lower back all the way up. Sit up tall. Left hand's going to wrap around that right leg. Big breath in. And we're gonna twist. Oh, this might be your other side. I apologize. I think I switched sides on you just now. Whichever side you're doing is fine. And I'm spiraling through the spine, keeping my spine vertical. Yeah. Shoulders, roll them back. You can hold on to the floor. So active twisting, active pressing, actively pulling those shoulders down, and then soften a little bit. Come back center, and we're gonna switch legs. Other head to knee pose. Remember the initial part of this is hinging in that hip, and we'll take 3 breaths to get where we wanna go. Now, if you're feeling this stretch behind the knee on the hamstring that you're stretching, then please bend that knee a little bit. We want to feel the stretch in the very center of the thigh for it to be super effective, and we don't want to be stretching the tendon. So if it's really right where your leg connects to your butt or under your knee, give yourself some slack in that knee. And if it feels appropriate, you can pull the toes toward the head. We're going to slow our breath down and try and relax into this stretch. It does not need to be painful to be working. As long as you feel stretching, it doesn't have to be extreme. Time works more efficiently than pushing for flexibility. Come on up. And bring the opposite knee up, whichever knee that is. Slide it out so your lower back is vertical. Wrap that arm around and active twist. Come on home. And we're gonna come into a pigeon next. So let's all put our right knee forward and wrap the back knee back. I'm gonna be seated on this hip so the back leg can be bent if that's what you need. And then we're just gonna lean over this front hip at first. For this next section, if you have bricks, we can definitely use bricks here. If you don't have bricks, it's okay to not use bricks. I heard someone say in their writing this last week that they used a tissue box, which is a great idea. So a tissue box, a new paper towel roll, or like a 4-pack or more of toilet paper. All of those things can work as great substitutes. Go ahead and drop your chest deep into that forward fold, allowing the hip to release. And come home to your breath. You can stack 2 fists on top of each other and rest your head in those fists. And really notice, what am I holding on to in my back, in my shoulders? If I relax my body, can I allow gravity to take me deeper into the stretch? I'm going to take our hands up. I'm going to point this foot and tuck it underneath and come up on top of that shin, yeah? And give yourself a moment to find a place where you can balance a little bit here. And then we're just going to bring that heel towards the buns. And some days that's no big deal. Other days it's a very crampy experience. So just experience, like check in with yourself here. And I notice, I can see in my mirror that when I'm doing this, watch how my hips are rising without me intending that to happen. Isn't that interesting? And the reason for that is when I'm bending my knee, I am shortening the length of my quadriceps, right? That we talked about last week, all of these muscles, because they're having to wrap around the knee. And so that's pulling my hip close to the knee, and that's making my butt stick up. So I'm gonna do it one more time wrong so you can see it. See how my butt comes up? And then I'm gonna try to do it to bend my leg without lifting the hip. And that'll be a deeper stretch. All right, so this is right knee forward, left leg back right now. I'm gonna take my right hand, the knee in the front hand. I'm gonna reach long because I want you to think about lifting your belly lock and lengthening that lower back as much as you can. And then paint a rainbow over the top of your body and see if you can find the foot. If you can't find the foot, that's totally okay. It's not an easy thing to do. If you have baggy pants on, you can grab onto the leg of your pants right around here. If you have a yoga strap or a belt, you can wrap the strap around your leg. So hang on a little minute. If you're here, enjoy the stretch. If you're not there yet, I'm gonna get some props out. Where's my other brick? The other bricks. All right. So Right knees forward. Yoga strap version. Those of you who've been in this stretch for a little while, if you want to come on out, that's fine. Yoga strap version is I can just wrap the strap around the foot. Easier said than done. Ha ha ha. Grab the strap and pull in. Another thing you can use if you don't have a yoga strap is a flexibility band, or even just like a long sleeve t-shirt will usually work. All right, let's go ahead and do the same thing with the left hip. Starting on our side. All right, so hopefully you're enjoying your pigeon. This is feeling pretty gentle. You're letting gravity take you and slowing that breath down. And we're gonna get deeper and deeper into these hips and hamstrings coming up here. So if you have 2 bricks, we're gonna put them in front of ourselves, and we'll then start the next section. So we'll do this pigeon pose, either on the hip, first on the hip, and then we'll get up and do it on one leg. And then we'll bend the quad, and then we're gonna move on with the bricks after that. So if you wanna take a moment to find anything, we'll wait for you. Resting the head. You can also rest your head on a brick if you want. And when I'm resting my head down here, I'm especially letting this front hip release. Gentle back and forth. Here comes the request from Baron Biscotti. We're going to come up into the pigeon with the hip off the leg. So I'm going to point this toe so I'm not twisting the ankle. I'm going to rock up to square, and you can use your yoga strap if you want. We're going to lift in the core, reach out with your front leg, that's your left arm, and twist over the top. See about finding that back leg. Woo! I see you, buddy. All right, release that leg. Okay, so we're gonna come into a low lunge with our bricks on either side of that front knee next. And for this low lunge, let's go ahead and put right knee up and left knee back. And I'm gonna elevate myself here. So if you had no bricks at all, you can put your hand here on the knee, and that really like activates the effort in this front leg, right? Because you're pushing into the floor. Or the bricks, either way, which makes it a little bit better. And before we start moving forward and back, go ahead and let yourself rotate through those hips a bit. So I'm sort of twisting my hips open and close like we talked about earlier. All right, so I'm going to lift up my hips. I'm gonna tuck my back toes underneath. So rather than leaving them pointed, I'm gonna tuck them, but you can do either. And as I do this flow, I'm gonna move my bricks forward and back. Oh, hello. Apparently we're playing limbo. So now I'm in a hamstring stretch to the back, and I'm gonna do it also without bricks. So you can see what it looks like without bricks. We're gonna go between these 2 places a few times. When I'm back, I want to pull the long legs hip back so that my hips stay squared, yeah? So shifting forward. Letting my hips come down into low lunge. And remember, I don't really want my knee to pass my arch of my foot here. That's, I'm gonna say that 3 times. In general, in a lunge, we don't want our knee to pass the arch of the foot. We want the knee to stay mostly over the ankle or the arch, not passing the toes for sure, because it's just a lot of work. I'm gonna inhale and come back. And drag that long legs hip back in space so that my hips are at the same distance back here. And inhale, coming forward. So you're gonna walk that foot forward for me. Good. All right. If you have a brick, great. I'm gonna show you with the brick in a second, but the next thing we're gonna do is take the opposite hand to the knee and squeeze actively into that hand. So I'm keeping my knee over my ankle, but I'm gonna activate this thigh by squeezing in. And you can put your other hand on a brick if you have one. So adduction, I'm squeezing fiercely in, as fiercely as I can against this hand. Go ahead and take it back. Why, thank you for that little calf massage, sir. Opening up that hamstring. And then I'm going to come forward and I'm going to push out with the knee. So option to put a brick here if you have it. The same hand is on the knee. I'm going to keep the knee over the ankle, but I'm going to actively press out, and this hand is fiercely pushing in across the body. So I'm creating resistance there. And I notice this fires up like both of my legs actually, because I am bracing against my whole body. Lovely. I'm going to sit back. And notice how that hamstring is lengthening. And I learned these this whole hip opening series at a Wanderlust festival with a teacher who was simultaneously telling us the story of Hanuman, the monkey god, saving the world, which was really lovely because at the end, of course, he decides to save the world. Let's switch legs. He decides to save the world by taking a split leap across to an island. All right, so we're gonna set up on the other side. A nice low lunge. As we work towards our Hanuman or front back split pose. And then I'm gonna walk my hips back. Oh, my hamstrings are super tight on this side. I'm feeling very lopsided today. How are you feeling? I invite you to notice without judgment. Let gravity take you into the stretches. All right, Piscati, we're gonna come forward. Yeah, I'm gonna put my brick on the outside of my leg first. If you have one, if not, it's okay to just use the floor, whatever's handy. Opposite hand to the inside of that knee, and I'm gonna squeeze in, keeping the alignment of knee over ankle or arch. So squeezing in. Nice, even breath. Oh, thank you. Inhaling back, you can draw the bricks back with you and exhale into that hamstring stretch. Remember, you're pulling the hip back to line up with the other hip. Remember, we never want sharp pain in our stretches. Just the sensation of stretching is enough, especially today where we're taking a long time. You don't want to be setting yourself up in a very deep stretch and then staying there longer than normal. You just want to be at the stretch, and the rest will come. Go ahead and shift forward. If you're finding the weight on your back toes to be too much, you can switch to a pointed toe if that's easier. And this time we're going to give pressure outside. So I'm going to scoot my heel forward, find my balance. My same hand, same knee is going to press into the center line, and I'm going to open my leg out into that hand and also yield to gravity down to the earth. But really it feels like I'm pushing into the floor back there as well as I press the leg out. Trying to keep my hips square. Nice steady breath. Lovely, and take it back into the hamstring stretch. Oh. That really helped my hamstring. All right, we're gonna come shift forward now. And before, we did head to knee pose, which is one leg forward and one leg is bent by the knee. And the knees, excuse me, I don't think anyone can see, sir. Thank you. This time we're gonna take this knee that's out and we're gonna wrap it around behind ourselves. Yeah? So I'm turning towards the foot again, but instead of this ankle being forward, it's wrapped behind myself. Yeah, so in jazz, we call this a jazz split. If you've done cheer, it's a herky jump. This thigh is opening up behind you. And it's probably still pretty tight here. So I'm gonna invite you to just sort of move those hips a little bit. You can see I'm rocking it around forward and around back. And then your back foot here, if the ankle is really flexed on the ground, then you might feel some rotational stress here in this knee. So I invite you to point that back foot and put the top of the big toe on the ground. And that way there's not as much twisting between the shin and the thigh bone. All right. Go ahead and see how your splits are coming along. Now, with my body leaned forward over the front leg, I'm going to feel this a lot in these front hamstrings. So I'd invite you to come up a little bit, and we're going to wrap that back leg back a little more and start to extend it behind you. Obviously, just as a reminder, I have been doing these stretches for a lot of years now, so it looks really different on everybody's body, and that's okay. It's a progression. The more years you put into it, the more flexibility you will eventually have. Another good reminder to bear in mind, as we said, I hope, at the beginning of the semester, is that true flexibility is about growing your muscles longer. It's not just about relaxing them, as happens when we yield into a muscle for over a minute. It is about them growing longer, and that takes 6 weeks. So hopefully by next week, you're gonna see your muscles have grown longer. But right now, you might just starting to be seeing a difference, yeah? Mostly because you're learning how to relax them more. Go ahead and see how your Hanuman looks. Now I let it see a lot of times folks are trying to like force their way into this shape as opposed to allowing yourself to be sort of sideways and sort of bent and resting into it. And I want to invite you to rest and crease your way into this stretch. I don't think that it helps to come up when you're stuck up here and try and smash it out. Yeah? Gently sneaking towards your goal. If you wanted to be square and you're like, oh, it's so impossible for me right now, you can take a brick underneath one hip and then, or even two, and sit on the brick so that you can feel what it's like to put this leg back. You can also use a brick to help you stand up tall. All right, rolling out the side here. Woo! Come off of it, away from. Gently help your legs come up. If you've been in a really deep stretch, we're just going to bring those knees together and rest before we do the other side. All right, now we're going to take the other leg, send it out. So I'm on the side of my hip for sure to start. I'm going to lengthen this one. Ooh, this one's not going to work for me very well today, y'all, and that's okay. I'm going to respect that my body is not where I expect it to be today. I'm going to slide the other leg back. I'm very far on my hip right now, right? I'm definitely not up on both legs. Opening this up. Rocking the pelvis anywhere that feels good. And remember, back leg, that foot is pointed so that you're not torquing your knee too much. And I'm gently going to head into folding over my front leg. Oof. Not pushing, but breathing deeply. Oof, super tight on that side. All right, coming back gently, slowly, gently windshield wiper this time. If you feel like, oh, I'm not ready for windshield wiper, you just want to hug your knees again in that seated child's pose, you can do that first too. Okay. If you have your strap, we're going to use the strap to do our bow. Regular bow means your belly is down to the ground, and bow is a prep for upward facing bow, which starts like a bridge. But we're going to do bow today. And so to warm ourselves up with bow, we're going to do a locust first. Do you know how to do a locust? No? No? Let's show them, okay? All right, so locust first. You're gonna take your legs back behind you and lay on your stomach. If you have a strap or some piece of fabric, then you can use that. And the idea is you're gonna have your chest coming up like you might with a baby cobra, but you want to lift the chest using your back muscles. So right now I'm just rocking my hips side to side on the mat because it feels really good because my hip flexors are quite tired from the class I taught before. Yeah, so I'm going to soften up those hips. In a perfect world, our legs are together, so aiming for that is good for your practice. And I'm going to move the cat over. Excuse me, sir. I know you're feisty. And have a little rest on top of your hands. Yeah. All right, the next thing we're going to do is to pull our belly button, our belly lock up towards spine. I'm going to lengthen that tailbone down and underneath, just like we practiced while we were standing. So I'm trying to lengthen this spot in the lower back right here. And then with your strap, you're going to grab it with both hands and reach your hands away from yourself, feeling your neck lengthen. So belly lock, tailbone, and hands now are all reaching for the back. And as I reach for the back, my back muscles bring my shoulders up. So I'm not lifting my head with my neck. Yeah, because if we just think about like picking your head up and looking straight forward, I'm going to get a crunched neck. And instead, I only want to look forward about as far as Biscotti's head is, yeah? So the length of one cat. And then for full locust, you can also lift your thighs. And release. Hands down by your ribs. Press up for your counter pose, bringing your hips to your feet, and enjoy a child's pose. Really let yourself melt here. Sometimes I ask you to push with your hands to get your hips back, but today I just want you to let yourself melt. All right, we're gonna come back down onto our bellies. And we're going to bring one heel up and grab it with the same hand. And you'll notice that when we grab our feet, we tend to bring it around to the side, but I want you to bring that heel directly to its own hip socket, yeah? And just pull it in and relax the quads. And remember, of course, if you want to bring your hand closer to that foot, it's not quite there yet, you can grab the grab your pants or the strap if you have them, or a t-shirt, scarf. And we're gonna do the other one. I'll do this one with my strap. You can basically grab anywhere, but you can also take your strap. You have one like this and just make a little loop. Hook that loop around. Just be careful again. We don't want to be pulling the knee around to the side of the body. We want to be pulling it directly to its own hip socket. And hopefully that's stretching through the thigh and into the hip socket a little bit. And if you are down here in your room, also you can see all the things that are hidden under the other furniture in the room. Is that what you were looking for earlier? All right, release that leg. And go ahead, lift up. And this time we are gonna push back into our child's pose, open up that lower back. And if you're working with a strap now, you're gonna ask the cat for permission to borrow it. And you're gonna put both feet over the top of that strap. You could put them both through the loop, but we're gonna grab with both hands in a second. So I'm just gonna grab them together, kind of lay it somewhere for me to grab. Yeah, so where I can grab it. When we come back down, we're gonna put all those pieces together. Boy, that seems awfully far away now, doesn't it? All right. A little bit of tension there helps me get it around. Okay. All right, so forehead on the mat, strap, and you can sort of wrap your hands around a couple times. So my strap here is on the ankles for the full bow. And we start with a big breath in. And I can already tell that my booty's coming up a little bit, like we talked about, right? Because I'm bending my thighs in, so my booty's coming up. So I'm going to start by counteracting that by engaging my belly lock, sending my tailbone down and away, and trying to arch like a cat, yeah? From there, I'm going to squeeze my shoulder blades together and kick my feet into the strap to come up. Now, if you're not using a strap, it looks like grabbing 2 feet. If you grab from the outside of your ankles like I just did, then there's a big temptation to like pull this feet to the outside of my body, as you can see me doing right now. So some people say grab from the inside. I think it's the same problem either way. So just squeeze those legs together first, then belly lock, lengthen the tailbone, shoulders down. I tuck my chin a little bit, and then I kick my feet into my hands, and it's actually that action of kicking my legs into my hands that helps me get up higher. What doesn't have to squeeze here? Because it's a lot of effort. Well, I can relax my face. I can soften my chest. Ooh, and I'm gonna let it go. It really melts on the floor. All right, one more time. I'm gonna bring those heels in with the strap or without. Pull them center. Tuck my chin. Engage my belly lock and rise. And rest, release. Hands by the rib cage, legs together, pressing up into the counter pose. Heels and glutes touching if possible. And that's really different for everybody's bodies, because if you have a lot of muscle on your thighs, they don't fold quite as neatly. I have to really push to get my butt all the way down my heels. But that's not true for everybody. Sometimes bodies just fold really neatly. All right, rising up. I'm gonna give you two options, my friends. It is 122, so I have one more audacious thing to show you. I'm like, should I really be squeezing this in? I'm going to, because we have spent a lot of time opening up these hamstrings already. This is a bus stop experience, but it is something that builds. So when we're in person and I can really come around and help everybody with placement in the fall or spring longer semesters, pretty much everybody gets a little tiny float out of this by the end of the semester. Hand, pointer finger, elbow, shoulder forward. So let me do that with the other side. Pointer finger is pointing this way, elbow's pointing along my body, and I'm gonna bring my elbow to my hip. And try, do you see how my elbow is behind my wrist right now? See if you can creep yourself up and get your elbow directly over the wrist. You can put your head on the floor, yeah? And then another way to practice this is to take those pizza pie arms and then bend your body to the side and try and put the back of your wrist on the front of your hip bone. And some of us, that's gonna be like, whee, oblique muscle squeeze, and then I'm gonna press my elbow down. Oh, yeah, I felt that serratus right there. Okay. We're gonna do a low lunge that may or may not turn into an arm balance. Fingers crossed here. Here we go. We're gonna put our right leg forward. We're gonna put our right arm behind that foot. Yeah? So I'm taking my thumb and forefinger, I'm just hooking it right behind that foot on the floor, and I'm gonna shift the rest of my body into a low lunge. Yeah? So what you can't see here is, let me turn the other way. Right leg, hand right behind it. Remember, we were talking about elbow over hand. So if I put my elbow over my hand and then I dip my hips down onto it, then I can put my thigh on my back of my arm. And we talked about squeezing the leg in. Remember when we were pressing against that leg? I want you to squeeze that leg in and see if you can sneak it out. Good. All right, try the other side. Bus stop one, just a low lunge. Whew. Bus stop two, shift down until your thigh touches that hand. Bus stop three, squeeze the thigh against your body and straighten it. All right. Last version, and then we're gonna sit on the floor, yeah? Okay, so we talked about the elbow over the wrist and the thigh on the back, and we talked about squeezing this in. We're gonna do both of those things at the same time. Fingers crossed here, guys. I don't know how this one's gonna go. Right leg forward. Hand underneath it. I am trying my very best to place this whole side of my body into the whole side of my thigh, yeah? So I'm really trying to get myself scooched all the way underneath here. And then I'm gonna take this elbow and squeeze it underneath my other hip bone. Ooh. Ooh. That's a lot of work, y'all. Okay, the abs squeezing in is really the big deal. If your legs don't get all the way straight, that's fine too. You might also have noticed that I put my head down on the floor first, yeah? Then I stretched my legs, I radiated my legs to get them to reach out and float. And then I pull my shoulders back, just like we did with the locust. And that's how my head comes off the floor. So it's not a big teeter-totter seesaw, seesaw. It's just a tiny little squeeze and reach and squeeze and reach. Little and tiny are maybe not the right words, but they're intense, but they're not large movements, yeah? Left leg forward. This is bust up. Hey, right here, I'm just putting my hand back here and trying to put my elbow over my wrist. I don't know about this side, guys. Whew. My body's tired. Here we go. Last attempt. I'm gonna bring my right elbow into my right hip. I don't know about this. Oh, I'm gonna put my head on the floor and I'm gonna try. Oh, my hands are too far apart, but I'm doing it for half a second. Oh! And now it's time to yield. Especially you, ab. All right, my friends, find place for your Shavasana. Well, maybe that's what we're gonna listen to today. If you found your place to rest your body, and you feel like, if you're feeling like your back is feeling sore while you're laying on your back, then you can take your bricks and put them underneath your knees for today's Shavasana and let your thighs open out to the sides, which looks like this. So Baddha Konasana with the feet, and then the bricks for a smaller Baddha Konasana, you bring the brick closer to the hip, and for a big, wide, floppy leg that goes closer to the knees. Find what's comfortable for you. But before you rest there, let's do a couple windshield wiper thighs. Nice wide feet. Really let those hip sockets release. We're going to walk our feet together. Find a place to rest the thighs. Big breath in. And as you exhale, we're going to push the hands up into the sky. Inhale, press them wide and out. Gather up the earth and exhale, push forward. Inhale, hands to the ground. This time, inhale, hands up above the head. Exhale, down to your Shavasana position. Palms up, thumbs out. Big breath in. Lengthen that spine one more time. Adjust your bricks. You want your legs to feel like they're in a delicate stretch, not an extreme one, because we'll be here for a while. And slow down. As you take your next breath in, feel your ankles release into the floor. Inhale, the knees soften gently. And exhale, the muscles of the hamstrings and the quadriceps release and drop tension into the floor or the bricks. If you find at a certain point that you've had enough of these open knees, it's okay to stretch your knees out when you're ready. Your next breath in, imagine your pelvis broadening, widening, opening, softening into the earth. And as you exhale, your belly button dives down into the ground. Inhale, your ribs widen and broaden, spreading out. And exhale, they drop back to the earth. Releasing the knees if you're ready. Inhaling into the collarbones and heart and neck. Shoulder blades pressing into the mat. Arm bones rolling wider. Inside of the elbows and wrists, spreading out as your breath lengthens your arms and palms, expanding like the night sky. And exhale, let the night sky come down to meet earth. Let your body and the horizon meet. Breathing and spreading every molecule of your body out along the earth. Letting your shoulders and neck lengthen. Letting your eyebrows spread apart and your skull slink to the sides. And allowing your jaw to slide back down towards the ground. Allow gravity to take you down to the soil. Thank you, everyone. Hope you're feeling nice and floppy. And see you next time.